Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we aren't just skimming the surface of, motivational speaking or glancing at some list of business best practices.
No, not at all.
We are diving deep into what is often regarded as the foundational American textbook on individual achievement.
That's the perfect word for it, a textbook. It's a structured philosophy, really, distilled from over 20 years of research into the lives and methods of, well, the most successful titans of industry and finance of that era.
And it wasn't written to just entertain.
That's absolutely right.
Wow.
Our source material today demands study, not just casual reading. It's presented as the shortest, most dependable path toward whatever definition of achievement you hold.
So whether your goal is financial wealth, public fame, political power,
Or just deep personal contentment. As Dr. Miller Reese Hutchison, who is a longtime associate of Thomas Edison, said, this philosophy is designed to organize and apply the knowledge you already possess.
so it's not about learning more facts.
It's about converting what you know into useful service and, well, adequate compensation without the waste of years trying to figure it out on your own.
Our mission, then, is pretty ambitious. We're going to try and extract the essential components of the 13 steps to riches.
And this isn't just a random collection of tips. It's an organized compilation of the best mental and physical habits from hundreds of accomplished individuals.
But before we even touch step one, we have to talk about the idea that, underpins the entire philosophy, the central secret.
Precisely. The text dedicates itself to revealing the power behind the Andrew Carnegie formula.
The steel magnate.
The very same. Carnegie, who amassed a massive fortune, didn't just succeed accidentally. He intentionally taught this methodology, producing, I think it was no fewer than a score of millionaires. Charles M. Schwab was one of them.
And the secret itself isn't, a single word or some magic phrase?
No, it's the application of the entire organized system. It's designed to reveal itself to those who persist, who actually do the work.
And the expectation is that by following this plan, these 13 steps, you will naturally stumble upon, recognize, and then appropriate this secret formula for yourself.
Exactly.
Now, if we were to try and name the concept that provides the power multiplier for all 13 steps, it would have to be the principle of the mastermind alliance, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. The system posits that the mastermind, which is the coming together of two or more people in perfect harmony toward a definite goal, is the engine that converts desire into reality.
We'll explore this in more depth later, but it's crucial from the outset to get this idea.
Yes, recognizing that the ability to cooperate and organize the minds of others is the core of Carnegie's success. This system is designed to teach you how to achieve that synergy.
And the source material is just littered with success stories. We hear about Arthur Nash.
Golden Rule Nash.
Right. He used the formula to take his tailoring business from near bankruptcy to a thriving fortune. And he tested it under the most difficult economic conditions.
Then there's Jennings Randolph, who got the secret on his graduation day and used it as his guide to successfully secure, I believe, his third term as a member of Congress.
So it works across industries and across ambitions.
That's what stands out. The conclusion from observing all these people is that this philosophy is more vital for self-determination and organized power than anything you get from traditional education alone.
That's a bold claim.
It is. But the logic is, education gives you information. This philosophy gives you the methodology for organized power.
So let's not delay. We'll start with the absolute foundation, the spark of everything. Step one, desire, the starting point of all achievement. Now, this sounds deceptively simple. I mean, everyone wants more money or success or fame.
Of course. But the text makes a stark, essential distinction here. This isn't about hoping or wishing or just passively expecting things to happen.
It has to be emotionalized.
It has to be. The text requires a keen, pulsating desire and, crucially, a burning obsession.
Not just a mild interest.
No. Weak desires, the philosophy warns, bring great results. Just as a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat. You have to be willing to commit everything. The desire must be definite, and it must be consuming.
So why is that level of obsession necessary? Why can't a logical, well-thought-out plan based on, say, mild interests succeed?
Because the mind requires a specific, powerful fuel to move from inertia to action, a mild interest. It just fails to engage the subconscious mind.
And the subconscious is the engine.
It's the vast engine of our actions. It's only when a desire transcends mere interest and becomes a dominating obsession that it engages the full spectrum of our mental faculties, directing them toward a single definite purpose.
So it acts like a filter.
A cognitive filter, exactly. It focuses your attention only on opportunities related to that one goal.
To illustrate this required intensity, the source gives us the phenomenal story of Edwin C. Barnes.
Ah, yes. He proved that men truly do think and grow rich by sheer force of will, driven by a definite desire.
And Barnes's desire wasn't general at all. He didn't just want a job in technology or some vague like that.
No, it was incredibly specific. He wanted to work with Thomas Edison, not for him, specifically as his associate and business partner.
Which was a massive, almost impossible leap for a young man with basically no resources.
He had no money, very little formal education, and absolutely zero influence. He couldn't even afford the train fare to Orange, New Jersey.
So he hitchhiked.
He hitchhiked and rode freight cars across the country because his desire was a consuming obsession, not some fragile hope.
And when he finally showed up before Edison, looking like a tramp, he didn't hedge his bets.
That's the critical detail. He didn't say, "Mr. Edison, I've come to try for a position." He declared, "I will see Edison and put him on notice that I have come to go into business with him."
Just that confidence.
That attitude, fueled by that burning desire, was so unmistakable that Edison, who was an excellent judge of character, gave him a chance.
Even though it was the most menial work.
The most menial. But the most important action he took was psychological.
He burned all bridges behind him.
He eliminated any possibility of retreat. He accepted the menial work because it put him physically near his goal, and he maintained that obsessive desire, never for a moment considering quitting or accepting an alternative.
He was just waiting for a shot.
He was focused entirely on one objective. He knew that the opportunity he wanted would eventually present itself, and it did.
The dictating machine.
Exactly. When Edison invented a dictating machine the salesmen hated and said they couldn't sell, Barnes stepped up.
He saw the opening.
He saw it, demonstrated how the machine could be sold, and earned the exclusive rights to market it. He eventually became Edison's associate, all because he maintained an unwavering, definite commitment and refused to create a mental safety net for himself.
That unwavering commitment is the antidote, then, to the most common cause of failure.
Quitting.
Quitting when you're overtaken by what the book calls temporary defeat. And this brings us to that famous, just visceral story of R.U. Darby's uncle and the gold mine.
A classic. Darby's uncle, having caught gold fever, went west and began to dig and grow rich. He staked a claim, he dug, he found a promising vein of ore.
Things were looking good.
Perfect. He shipped a few carloads, confirmed the quality was high, and secured massive financing for heavy machinery. Everything was moving perfectly until
The vein vanished.
it just disappeared. He hit a fault line.
And the natural assumption was that the gold had simply run out. Game over.
So he quit digging. Discouraged, he sold the machinery and the claim to a junk man for just a few $100s.
But the junk man had one thing Darby's uncle lacked.
The intelligence to seek expert counsel before declaring total defeat.
He brought in an expert.
A mining engineer. And the engineer advised the new owner that this kind of fault line was common. He calculated that the ore would be found again just 3 feet from where Darby's uncle had stopped digging.
3 feet from gold.
3 feet. The junk man dug those 3 feet, struck the vein, and made millions.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale. The source warns us that failure is a trickster. It's keenly ironic, cunning.
It loves to trip you when success is almost within reach.
The author notes that conversations with over 500 successful men confirmed that their greatest triumph came just one step beyond the point where defeat had overtaken them.
And Darby himself, having been scorched by that early quitability, as he called it, later became an incredibly successful life insurance salesman.
He learned persistence.
Stickability. He realized that failure only indicates that your plan is unsound, not that your goal is unreachable. You just rebuild the plan and start over.
And he became known for profiting enormously from the sales he made after the client had initially said no.
That 50-cent lesson in persistence defined his entire career.
So if this burning desire is required, how do we make it tangible? How do we transmute that abstract emotional energy into something concrete?
Well, the philosophy, inspired by Andrew Carnegie, provides 6 definite, practical steps for this, for converting the abstraction of desire into its monetary equivalent.
This is the psychological blueprint.
It forces definiteness, which is the necessary target for the subconscious mind. This is the structural framework Carnegie himself used to build a fortune of over $100 million.
Okay, so step one, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Why? The exact amount. Why not just say a large sum or I want to be rich?
Because the mind requires a specific blueprint. A definite amount engages what we might call a cognitive guidance system, your mind's ability to recognize and attract opportunities relevant to that precise figure.
Vague desires get vague results.
Exactly. You need a definite target, like tuning a specific radio frequency.
Step two, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. This seems fundamental.
It is. The philosophy says the universe doesn't recognize something for nothing. You have to define the useful service you're going to render.
Step three, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money.
This introduces urgency. It gives a deadline for the subconscious mind to organize action around. It moves the desire out of the realm of fantasy and into, really, the realm of time-bound project management.
Step four, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire. And this is the critical part. Begin immediately to put this plan into action.
Regardless of whether you feel ready. Action dissolves fear and confirms your commitment to your subconscious.
Step five, write down a clear, concise statement covering those previous 4 points.
Amount, return, date, and plan. The physical act of writing commits the idea to memory and helps you focus.
And finally, step six, read this written statement aloud twice daily, once at night and once in the morning.
And as you read, this is paramount, you have to visualize and feel yourself already in possession of the money. You have to experience the emotion of ownership now.
So the analysis here is that this whole process is designed to make you money conscious.
You're saturating your mind with this definite purpose until you literally see yourself already possessing the goal. If you don't see great riches in your imagination first, you will never organize the forces necessary to see them in your bank balance.
It's about changing your default mental state from failure consciousness to success consciousness.
Through ritual repetition, exactly.
All right, so once that burning desire is defined and ritualized, we move to step two, faith, the second step toward riches.
If desire is the starting point, faith is the accelerator.
The book calls it the eternal elixir that gives life and power to the thought impulse.
It's the basis of all miracles, and by miracles, it means accomplishments that seem impossible to a skeptical mind. And it's the only known antidote for the paralysis of failure.
And crucially, the philosophy teaches that faith is not some, ethereal gift reserved for a select few.
No, it is a state of mind that can be induced. It can be created by affirmation or repeated instructions given to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion.
We're basically teaching ourselves to believe.
We are. And this is where the emotional element of those 6 steps becomes so vital. Thoughts that are mixed with strong emotion, with feeling, and with faith are vital and life-giving. They immediately begin to translate themselves into their physical equivalent.
The emotions of faith, love, and sex, when you combine them with a thought impulse,
They give it greater momentum than any single emotion could achieve on its own.
this leads us to the idea of thought as a magnetic force. We aren't just thinking, we're generating an energetic frequency.
Right. Thoughts mixed with emotion constitute a magnetic force that attracts similar, related thoughts from the vast ether.
The ether being, what are you exactly?
It's described as a great cosmic mass of vibration, carrying both destructive and constructive waves. The human mind constantly attracts the vibrations that harmonize with what dominates it.
So if you dwell on fear, you attract more fearful thoughts.
And if you dwell on a definite purpose and faith, your idea attracts its relatives, growing in force until it becomes the motivating master of the individual.
Which is why that ritualistic repetition in the 6 steps is so necessary.
It dictates the dominant vibration.
That intense focus takes us directly to step 3, autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind.
This is a bridge between the conscious reasoning mind and the subconscious active mind.
It's the control panel.
It is. Autosuggestion is the medium for the voluntary direction of the subconscious. And since the subconscious mind works continuously and voluntarily, whether you direct it or not, it's absolutely crucial to feed it positive, constructive impulses.
Rather than letting it run wild on default negative input like worry or fear or just habitual doubt.
And here's the unsettling truth. The subconscious mind makes no moral or intellectual distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses.
It doesn't judge.
Not at all. It will translate into reality a thought driven by fear just as readily as one driven by courage or faith. If you constantly worry about financial ruin, you are instructing your subconscious to manifest financial ruin.
It's why some people, through unchecked negative suggestion, commit a form of what the book calls mental suicide.
To manage this powerful mechanism constructively, the philosophy provides a powerful tool, the self-confidence formula.
This is a 5-point decree designed to actively structure your subconscious input and build an internal firewall against the fear of criticism and self-doubt.
Point 1. You know you have the ability to achieve your definite purpose, and you demand persistent, continuous action toward it, promising to render that action immediately.
So it's a self-command based on knowledge.
Yes. Point 2. You realize that your dominating thoughts eventually reproduce themselves in physical action. Therefore, you concentrate for 30 minutes daily upon creating a clear mental picture of the person you intend to become.
Reinforcing the identity you seek.
Prese. Point 3. You devote 10 minutes daily to demanding the development of self-confidence, knowing that a persistent desire, once established, will eventually seek expression through some practical, tangible means.
You're actively cultivating internal certainty.
Exactly. Point 4. You have a clearly written description of your definite chief aim in life, and you commit to never stopping until you've developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment.
This makes your focus permanent and non-negotiable.
And point 5, this is the ethical anchor. You fully realize that wealth must be built upon truth and justice. You must engage in no transaction that does not benefit all whom it affects.
You have to eliminate negative emotions.
You commit to succeeding by attracting forces and cooperation through a willingness to serve others, and you must eliminate things like hatred, envy, and selfishness.
This 5th point is so critical. It aligns your goal with the mastermind principle we talked about, establishing the foundation for harmonious cooperation.
Right. It warns that negative emotions are fundamentally corrosive to the kind of power you need for great achievement.
The source material posits that the law behind this formula has baffled scientists, yet it consistently works for the success of mankind if used constructively.
But the ability to use autosuggestion effectively, it all relies on your capacity to concentrate upon that given desire until it truly becomes that burning obsession.
And this leads to the trick on the subconscious mind.
Yes. When you are executing the 6 steps twice daily, you must close your eyes, concentrate intensely on the exact amount of money, and see yourself in possession of it.
You're not asking for it. You are acting as if you already own it.
You're playing a perfectly legitimate psychological trick. By vividly visualizing the money as already awaiting your claim, you compel the subconscious mind, which accepts any command given in absolute belief, to start handing over practical plans, strategies, and steps.
For acquiring what is already mentally yours.
It's a mechanism for forcing nonlinear problem solving. The subconscious, believing the goal is already achieved, works backwards, providing the practical steps required to bridge the gap between your present reality and that desired outcome.
And perfection in its use comes through dedicated, consistent practice.
It's a skill you have to develop, like any other.
Okay, so we've established the emotional prerequisite, a definite, burning, faith-infused desire. Now we move into the actual tools required to execute and build the physical structure of that desire. Step 4 is specialized knowledge.
And the author provides a vital clarification here. Knowledge is not power.
It's only potential power.
Yes. This is the crucial missing link in many traditional academic settings. General knowledge, no matter how vast like that possessed by many university faculties, is of little use in accumulating money or power if it remains unorganized and undirected.
Knowledge only becomes power when it is organized into definite plans of action and directed toward a definite pre-established end.
Like the accumulation of riches you defined back in step 1.
We have the famous Henry Ford example to hammer this point home.
Right. Ford, who had very little formal schooling, was challenged in a libel suit by opposing counsel who tried to humiliate him by questioning his general knowledge.
They asked him things like, who was Benedict Arnold?
And Ford's legendary response was that he did not clutter his mind with general knowledge because he had a row of electric push buttons on his desk.
To summon men who specialized in specific fields.
Men who could answer any question he required. This proved the immense value of knowing how to purchase and organize specialized knowledge, rather than trying to possess all of it yourself.
Specialized knowledge is among the most plentiful and cheapest forms of service available today.
The key is continuous acquisition of knowledge related specifically to your major purpose. Successful people never stop learning, but their learning is targeted. It's specialized.
The source highlights practical places for acquiring this specialization, like night schools and correspondence schools. And there's a fascinating insight about correspondence schools.
That they often force self-discipline, promptness, and the habit of finishing what one begins.
Because they demand prompt tuition payments.
Exactly. The process builds character alongside competence.
We see this dynamic fusion of specialized knowledge and imagination in the anecdote of the unemployed salesman during the Depression.
Right. He had some basic bookkeeping experience, so he took a focused, specialized course in accounting to enhance that skill, and then he created an innovative solution.
He started a fleet of mobile bookkeeping offices on wheels.
He equipped a delivery truck with modern machinery and contracted with over 100 small merchants who couldn't afford a full-time accountant for a nominal monthly fee.
It was an idea born of financial necessity, combining that specialized knowledge with an imaginative delivery system.
And the owner of that mobile service office eventually paid an income tax nearly 10 times as much as his former employer.
All because he applied specialized knowledge to a definite need.
It just demonstrates that knowing how to apply knowledge is far more valuable than the knowledge itself.
Which leads us perfectly to step 5, imagination, the workshop of the mind.
Imagination is the faculty through which desire is given form and substance. It is how you build the plans for the transformation of desire into money.
And the philosophy defines 2 primary types of imagination.
First, you have synthetic imagination. This is the conscious, calculated faculty. It rearranges old concepts, existing ideas, or plans into new combinations.
So it's working with existing material.
Exclusively. Material drawn from experience, education, and observation. This is the faculty most often used by inventors who are adapting existing technologies. It's logical and, linear.
But second, and far more powerful, is creative imagination.
This is the direct link between the finite mind and what the philosophy calls infinite intelligence, or the universal mind.
This is where pure new ideas come from.
It's the source of hunches and inspirations. It is fundamentally nonlinear.
And the creative faculty functions best when the mind is stimulated to a high rate of vibration.
By intense desire, by enthusiasm, or by other powerful emotions. When synthetic imagination fails to solve a problem using existing knowledge, you have to stimulate the mind to a point where the creative imagination can take over and deliver an answer that wasn't in your conscious database.
The power of a single idea generated by the creative imagination is famously illustrated by the story of the enchanted kettle.
The inception of Coca-Cola. A drug clerk purchased an old formula, a secret paper, and an old kettle from a doctor for $500.
But what the clerk really purchased wasn't a physical asset.
It was an idea. By mixing an intense desire, faith, and the application of imagination with those secret instructions, the author dramatically states that the kettle began overflowing with gold, creating a worldwide empire.
The key takeaway here, which is often missed, is how you value an idea.
Right. There is no fixed price for a sound idea. The physical assets, the paper, and the kettle were worth almost nothing. The idea, once it was emotionalized and planned, generated a fortune.
Ideas, not raw knowledge or materials, are the seedlings from which great fortunes grow.
And once we have the desire, the knowledge, and the imaginative concept, we have to structure it. Step 6. Organized planning the crystallization of desire into action.
The philosophy is ruthless here. If the first plan fails, you replace it immediately with a new one.
Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It just means the plan is unsound. This is where most people falter. They interpret a failure of a plan as a failure of self or purpose.
We have to remember Edison's famous journey to the light bulb.
He met with temporary defeat 10,000 times before achieving his goal. Success requires persistence in creating new plans until one finally works. It's the ultimate lesson in flexibility combined with persistence.
Now, for achieving a truly great fortune, the philosophy states that no single individual possesses sufficient experience, education, or ability alone.
You need to leverage the power multiplier, which requires the Mastermind Alliance.
This is the core of the Carnegie secret we hinted at earlier.
The Mastermind Alliance is a cooperative group of people whose combined advice, counsel, and personal cooperation you rely on to execute your plans. It's the economic feature responsible for nearly every great fortune.
But just gathering a group isn't enough. There are strict rules to observe.
Rule 1. Decide what advantages or benefits you can offer the individual members in return for their cooperation. No intelligent person will work indefinitely without definite compensation.
It has to be a win-win.
A win-win exchange, whether that's financial, influence, or opportunity.
Rule 2. Meet at least twice a week until your plans are perfected.
Consistent, structured interaction is required to fuse the minds.
Rule 3. Maintain perfect harmony among all members. This is the most challenging and non-negotiable instruction.
If you fail here, you can expect failure, because the collective mental energy gets fractured and diverted into conflict, which just kills the synergistic power.
And Rule 4. Ensure that all plans are the joint creation of the group.
The alliance should function as a single powerful brain, where ideas are built upon and refined collectively. The collective mind is invariably superior to any single mind.
This sounds intensely idealistic. What does the philosophy say is the cost of broken harmony? Because high-stakes business inevitably involves differing opinions and egos.
The source material is unequivocal. The penalty for failure to maintain harmony is the complete collapse of the mastermind principle itself.
The power just drains away.
Instantly. The power is generated through the pooling of mental energy, and that energy is only productive when it's aligned. Conflict drains it. Therefore, successful leaders must develop an extraordinary ability to manage personalities and facilitate mutual respect.
Prioritizing the main goal over individual friction.
Constantly.
Now, pivoting slightly, the second half of planning focuses on how to leverage personal services because the vast majority of great fortunes started either as compensation for personal services or from the sale of an idea derived from service.
Right, and if you aspire to leadership, you must cultivate the attributes of leadership. The philosophy lists 10 key factors, starting with unwavering courage.
Which has to be based on definite knowledge of yourself and your occupation.
No follower wants to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence.
Other critical attributes include self-control. The person who cannot control themselves can never control others. A keen sense of justice, definiteness of decision.
And a pleasing personality. Furthermore, leaders must have the habit of doing more than they're paid for and a readiness to assume full responsibility for the mistakes of their followers.
It's a holistic view of character. Interestingly, the philosophy highlights a major societal shift away from the old leadership by force model.
The future demands cooperation and mutual alliance, viewing the relationship between employer, employee, and the public as a partnership. The public be damned policy is obsolete.
It's replaced by a service-oriented, obliging approach.
This shift directly influences the valuation of your service, which is determined by the QQS formula: quality, quantity, and spirit.
Quality means performing every detail in the most efficient manner possible.
Quantity means the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable and continuously increasing that amount. Consistency and effort.
But the factor that determines the price and duration of employment most strongly, beyond sheer competence, is the spirit of service.
This is the habit of agreeable, harmonious conduct that induces cooperation from associates.
So emotional intelligence, professional charisma, the willingness to collaborate.
Exactly. Adequacy in quality and quantity just isn't sufficient in the new era. The spirit in which you deliver service is often the determining factor in professional advancement. The day of the ruthless go-getter has passed. He's been supplanted by the productive, cooperative go-giver.
When marketing yourself based on this philosophy, you're advised not to start at the bottom.
Because the outlook there is poor and tends to kill ambition by forming the habit of daily routine. By starting 1 or 2 steps above the bottom, you form the habit of looking around, anticipating opportunity, and embracing executive thought.
Instead, you should market yourself as an executive, even if you're seeking an entry-level position.
Which requires preparing a meticulously detailed brief of your qualifications, a personalized sales plan that goes far beyond a resume.
This brief has to include detailed knowledge of the prospective employer's business and, most importantly, a concrete, defined plan for how you will use the position to benefit them.
It should cover your education, experience, references, a photo, and a clear written statement of your determination to secure the position.
This kind of planned presentation is designed to cut off potentially 10 years of time you would have spent just working your way up.
If your case is properly prepared and presented, your victory is more than half won at the outset. It allows the applicant to start as a junior executive at an executive salary. It's the application of specialized knowledge and imagination to the problem of selling yourself.
We now enter the more esoteric yet intensely powerful principles that fuel the highest levels of achievement, beginning with the power of sex transmutation.
The philosophy identifies sex desire as the most powerful and impelling of all human desires. When driven by this energy, men develop an extraordinary keenness of imagination, enhanced courage, increased willpower.
Intense persistence and creative ability, they just don't access at other times.
Transmutation is defined simply as the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature. It's not about suppression, it's about redirection and energy management.
So when this immense driving force is consciously harnessed and redirected along productive lines,
Like invention, literature, art, or the accumulation of riches, it is capable of lifting men and women to the status of genius.
the physical manifestation of sex desire produces the highest rate of vibration in the human mind. It's pure focus.
And the philosophy teaches you to hijack that intense, single-minded focus and channel it towards your definite chief aim.
History offers compelling evidence. Major success and great achievement almost invariably occur between the ages of 40 and 50.
The philosophy suggests this is largely because prior to this age, men tend to dissipate that energy through overindulgence, only later discovering and applying the creative potential of transmutation as their energy naturally mellows and becomes more internal.
Sex energy, when transmuted, is considered the fundamental creative energy of all geniuses.
The source material is explicit. There has never been a great leader, builder, or artist lacking in this driving force. It is the dynamic power that enables the creative imagination to function effectively.
The human mind responds to various stimuli to be keyed up to high rates of vibration. The text lists 10 primary mind stimuli.
With the desire for sex expression, love, and a burning desire for fame or money situated right at the top, it just underscores their intensity as generators of mental power.
And we must be mindful that the subconscious mind is the engine room, the medium of communication between our thinking mind and the universal mind.
It functions best when fed positive, highly emotionalized thoughts.
Therefore, it is essential to feed the subconscious mind thought impulses mixed with positive emotions like desire, faith, love, sex transmuted, enthusiasm, romance, and hope.
And conversely, it is vital to ruthlessly avoid feeding it the 7 major negative emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger.
Since positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind simultaneously.
It is our personal responsibility, through the habit of autosuggestion, to ensure the positives dominate our mental environment.
And this brings us to the ultimate step, the apex of the entire philosophy, which is the result of mastering the previous steps, the sixth sense.
The sixth sense is the portion of the subconscious mind that functions as the creative imagination's receiving set for basic new ideas, hunches, and sudden inspirations.
It's described as the medium of contact between the finite mind, our conscious self, and the universal mind, or infinite intelligence.
This concept often risks sounding mystical, but for practical application, you can think of it as highly developed intuition or nonlinear problem solving.
It defies adequate description for those who haven't mastered the preceding principles because it is experiential.
It's a genuine mixture of the mental and the spiritual, but we do have concrete examples of how one can cultivate this faculty.
Dr. Elmer R. Gase, a relatively less publicized scientist, generated over 200 useful patents by systematically cultivating and using this intuitive faculty.
His method was a model of focused preparation. He developed a soundproof, light-controlled personal communication room. He would go into this room, shut off the light, and concentrate intensely upon the known factors of his invention or problem.
And he would stay there, focused, until ideas for the unknown factors suddenly flashed into his mind.
He was deliberately setting the conditions: intense concentration, elimination of distraction, heightened desire that would allow the creative imagination to connect with external intelligence and deliver a novel solution.
This highlights that ideas received through the creative faculty are often more reliable than those generated solely through the reasoning faculty.
Which is often limited by our accumulated finite experience.
The source author details his own method for leveraging the sixth sense for character building, holding imaginary nightly council meetings with historical figures.
He called them his invisible counselors, figures like Emerson, Burbank, Napoleon, Ford, and Edison. He would literally address each member in audible words, asking to acquire specific traits.
Like Napoleon's ability to inspire men and turn defeat into victory.
Or Edison's marvelous spirit of faith and persistence.
And these meetings became so real that the imaginary figures developed individual characteristics.
Right, Lincoln would always be slow and solemn, moving only after careful thought. This is an extraordinary example of using guided autosuggestion and the sixth sense to tap into external knowledge, guidance, and character development, forcing the mind to model greatness.
The ultimate promise of the sixth sense is that, once mastered, you are warned of impending dangers and notified of opportunities in time to embrace them.
Mastering the previous 12 principles prepares you to accept and utilize this stupendous intuitive claim, moving you from the realm of conscious effort to inspired action.
Now that we've covered the roadmap to achievement, we must confront the enemies within. The philosophy identifies 6 basic fears as the underlying cause of all discouragement, timidity, procrastination, indifference, and indecision.
And they are difficult to master because they often reside only in the subconscious mind, shaping our habits without our
The
awareness.
6 are the fear of poverty,
Fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love of someone, fear of old age, and the fear of death. Every other minor worry can be categorized under these 6 headings.
and the fear of poverty is identified as the most destructive and the most difficult to master.
Philosophically, it's traceable to man's inherited tendency to prey upon his fellow man economically. The fear that unless you defend yourself financially, others will strip you bare.
The consequences are severe. Poverty paralyzes the faculty of reason, it destroys imagination, kills self-reliance, undermines enthusiasm.
It's without doubt the most destructive of the 6 because it attacks the very mental resources you need for the 13 steps.
The symptoms are devastating. Indifference, which is expressed by a lack of ambition and easy acceptance of fate.
Indecision, chronic worry, overcaution, procrastination, and ironically, extravagances like the habit of spending beyond your income trying to keep up with the Joneses to mask internal inadequacy.
Poverty, the source observes, brings man suffering and humility.
Next is the fear of criticism. This is often the mental block that prevents people from expressing original opinions, acting on a strong idea, or setting high goals.
It's all due to an overwhelming fear of ridicule or disapproval.
And this fear can be stronger than the desire for success. It causes people to refuse to take necessary risks in business or in life.
The symptoms of this fear include a lack of initiative and self-confidence. It manifests in the tendency to express self-approval by word of mouth to cover up deep-seated feelings of inferiority.
Or just avoiding the spotlight entirely. We often sacrifice opportunity just to maintain perceived social acceptance.
Third is the fear of ill health. This is inextricably linked to the fear of old age and death.
We are told that reputable physicians estimate that 75% of all patient visits are for hypochondria imaginary illness. It's been shown convincingly that the fear of disease, even without a physical cause, often produces real physical symptoms.
So ill health can be induced by negative suggestion and cured by a fundamental change in mental attitude.
Symptoms include the negative use of autosuggestion, constantly talking about ailments, and self-coddling, which is feigning illness or exaggerating minor symptoms to gain sympathy or avoid responsibility.
This constant self-suggestion breaks down nature's body resistance, creating a favorable condition for actual disease.
Fourth, the fear of loss of love. This is the most painful of the fears, stemming from man's historical habits and often manifesting as extreme jealousy and insecurity.
It can, in severe cases, lead to permanent insanity.
The fear arises from the painful knowledge that love, once lost, seldom returns. Because the desire for love is so fundamental, the potential loss is excruciating.
This manifests as obsessive worry, suspicion, and a constant irrational vigilance over the behavior of the loved one.
Fifth, the fear of old age, which grows out of the fear of poverty, the loss of earning power, and the loss of diminishing sex attraction.
And the fear is largely unfounded, as the philosophy insists that man's most useful years, mentally and spiritually, are often those between 40 and 60.
Once focused energy is achieved, the greatest symptom is the tendency to slow down prematurely and develop an inferiority complex around the age of 40, falsely believing oneself to be slipping.
Instead of realizing this is the peak time for utilizing acquired experience and specialized knowledge.
Finally, the fear of death. This is deemed utterly useless, as death is inevitable and unavoidable.
A necessity. Since neither energy nor matter can be destroyed, life, being energy, is merely transition or change.
The fear of death is typically a waste of mental energy. The greatest remedy for this fear is a burning desire for achievement, backed by useful service to others. A busy person, focused on their definite chief aim, finds life too thrilling to waste time worrying about dying.
So if these 6 fears are constantly, subconsciously working their way into our minds, paralyzing action and breeding procrastination, what is the single most potent antidote?
The antidote is prompt and firm decision, the complete mastery of procrastination and indecision.
The 6 basic fears are translated into worry precisely through indecision.
The classic example is the condemned man who, having been delivered a definite, unchangeable date for his execution, ate a full dinner peacefully beforehand.
Decision, even when fatal, gave him resignation to his fate, allowing his mind to rest from the turmoil of uncertainty.
And decision can prevent your acceptance of undesired circumstances. The strategy is to reach a general, blanket decision that nothing life has to offer, no setback, no potential loss, is worth the price of worry.
With this definitive choice comes mental poise, peace of mind, and calmness of thought.
A man whose mind is filled with fear not only destroys his own chances of intelligent action, but transmits those destructive, negative vibrations to everyone around him. Decision breaks that cycle immediately.
We have journeyed through the entire philosophy of achievement. It's a robust system.
It is, built on the necessity of a highly focused, burning desire, cultivated through faith and the ritual of autosuggestion, channeled through organized planning using specialized knowledge and imagination.
And powered constantly by persistence and prompt, firm decision.
We have seen that both success and failure are largely the result of habit. We have to recognize our deep susceptibility to all 6 basic fears and deliberately set up counter habits to counteract them.
Closing our minds tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. Mind control is the result of self-discipline and habit.
And this brings us to the most challenging yet crucial application: rigorous self-analysis.
Right. The source material encourages every reader to take the self-analysis test, a series of 28 questions designed to force a hard, honest look at oneself.
To identify where the philosophy is failing to be applied.
Questions like, do I make deliberate use of autosuggestion to make my mind positive? And the truly cutting question, if I had been the purchaser of my own services for the past year, would I be satisfied with my purchase?
That's a tough one. This exercise is designed to help you locate what is wrong with your plan or your application and correct it, rather than building the 57 famous alibis that people construct to cover up their failures.
And as a final provocative thought to leave you with, consider the difference between Henry Ford and the 100,000 men who worked for him.
The difference is simply this: Ford has a mind and controls it. The others have minds which they do not actively try to control.
Control is the essential step. The freedom of thought is useless without the freedom of control.
Your mind is the most valuable asset you possess. Utilize the freedom of thought this country provides to aim for any station in life for which you have prepared yourselves.
Capitalistic America ensures every person the opportunity to render useful service and to collect riches in proportion to the value of the service rendered.
Until you commit to controlling that mind, you will drift aimlessly. But once you commit, remember, success and failure are simply the results of habit. Be persistent, aim high, and organize your power.
That's it for this deep dive into the ultimate philosophy of achievement. Thanks for listening.